I love being around people that no matter the success they've had or even which tranche it's come from, they're a lifelong learner. You know, someone who is worth £100 million, for example, if they have that aura of I'm worth 100 million, I won't like to be around them. In the same way, if someone's jacked and they tell you, I hate it. But if they are someone who's worth a lot, as won gold medals, whatever it might be, their success, if they are still a lifelong learner and that you can see that they're happy to start from zero, they're happy to have that Dunning-Kruger effect where they think they're good, they realize they're bad and they learn.
Yeah.
I think that's the perfect people to be around.
Yeah.
And those people I think are the happiest.
Nice.
Because they're happy. Or because it's a terrible way of saying it. They're happy because they're happy. I regret saying that.
You can just start again. It's your podcast.
No, I'm leaving it in there. All the mistakes are real mistakes.
Okay, nice. Okay, so one thing I want to add as well on clarify is we are kind of limited as humans by our past experiences, by our frames of references. So you've said, I want to be the owner of a top 10 podcast, but it could be something better. Something better could happen and you might not know it yet. So it's almost like or something better. I would kind of add that to the end of it.
Okay.
And this has definitely happened for me before. So I went for a podcast co-hosting opportunity about a year ago. And I remember thinking that I could kind of picture myself getting this opportunity, getting the yes through. But then I added that this was something better to the end every time I was thinking about it. And then what actually happened is I didn't get that podcast co-hosting opportunity, but a better one came along for a podcast that was like 100 times the size. Yeah. And then it's like, oh, it works. The intention works. I just didn't realize that it could be so much better or so much bigger.
Yeah. That's interesting. So what happens if you don't do that? You just either get disappointed or you get what you wanted and you're not open to the opportunity of something better coming along. You're almost limiting yourself.
Yeah, and I feel maybe there's this phrase that's, oh, if something feels too good to be true, then it maybe is. And I hate that phrase. So it's the idea that you are open to the fact that better things could come along, or everything that you've ever dreamed to be true could just be round the corner. And if you're only aiming for this goal and you're so set on this goal, you might miss the bigger stuff.
So true, because we always, or a lot of people that I talk to, they set their time horizon so short, which is a similar way of doing it, right? You're saying, I want this as my sort of success, but nothing more. Same as saying I want that success to happen in 6 months. If it doesn't happen, if it takes another 2 years, it doesn't count. I should have achieved it by then. They don't allow themselves to have that sort of internal win. It's a similar thing.
That's really common. And the time doesn't matter. I feel like everything just takes longer than you think. So
it's conveyor belt though, isn't it? Yeah. You're like, I've got to have it done by 30. Otherwise, and then it's like dot. What? Nothing's going to go wrong.
Time is just so arbitrary. So yeah, all of this stuff, it never has a by this age, by this time, by this month, nothing like that.
Do you think it would have done if you hadn't have got to the point of selling your business? Do you think you'd still be on that conveyor belt of like, oh God, I have to? Do you think it changed your mindset to be like, I've achieved X and now reset? Because some people haven't gone through that reset.
I think at the point I decided to sell my business, I was aware that I had a lot of other options available to me. And one of them was just going right back to what I did before, where I ran it as a lifestyle business, used it as a kind of cash cow while I traveled and trained. And I was so happy with that option as well. So the age never came into it at all. It was more like, what do I want to do? And then because I had that energy of, yeah, you can buy it, but I also really like running it. So you're going to have to prize it out of my hands. That actually was better. That was so much better for the sale process anyway.
Yeah, with or without you.
So the next section, the L of claims, is learn. So this is where you teach yourself what it feels like. You learn what it feels like for this thing that you're going to make happen to be true. And it's a very emotional thing. So what I want you to do is notice and acknowledge the feelings that come up when you close your eyes and you imagine yourself being the owner of a top 10 business podcast. Feel it in your body almost. Feel how you you might be sitting taller, more confident. You might just be feeling like really satisfied, really grateful, really like, yeah, I've done this. It took a lot of work, but I did it. And so the idea here, and there's a line from Dr. Joe Dispenza, which is teach your body emotionally what it feels like.
That's cool. That comes from sports, right?
Partly from sports, yeah. There's quite a few athletes who discuss doing this. So Paula Radcliffe is one of them. She previously held the women's marathon world record. She's got lots of Olympic medals, and I very early on in my running career, which was not a running career at all, I was very junior, but I read her book How to Run, and she talks a lot about visualization in that book. And part of the kind of learning, the teaching her body emotionally what it feels like to win a race was her picturing the finish line, picturing the time on the clock above the finish line, picturing her friends and family all around clapping, cheering for her, you know, that kind of tin foil, aluminium foil stuff that you get wrapped around you at the end of the race. She would picture that. She would picture every single part of it in detail, and then she would really like feel it. What does it feel like in your body for that to come true? So I think for yours, the moment that you see, we're on that top 10 list, can you kind of go to that moment of like, this is cool?
Yeah, I think you already said it. I think you'd feel grateful, because I'm very aware that podcasts grow not only because of the host and the team behind it, but actually because of the guests. Because you can access great guests if you've got a good podcast, but they might not perform. You have to help them perform, and they have to be willing to perform. People that get good guests and they don't perform well, maybe it's a favor to their mate, they're going to go on, do this podcast, whatever. But to me, you'd have to realize that you've borrowed so much trust to get to the point of the podcast being that big.
Yep.
You know, look at like Diary CEOs comfortably inside the top 10, probably. I think 5 to 10. It's not the Rogan or the Hula Daddy, whatever it is. But he's done it by getting incredible guests that we might not have heard of in the mainstream. They're still well known in their own right, but they've performed so well for him, and he's reciprocated that back. So he must be so grateful to them for allowing that to happen. So it's sort of a double-edged sword, I think, in getting a podcast of that size, because you rely so much on people being brilliant. Whereas if I'd have said I want to deadlift 300 kilos, it's probably just me on my own and a very good coach, I'm assuming. And to your point there about visualizing or feeling, letting your body feel what it must be like. It reminds me of, I think it's the Stoltman brothers, the Scottish guys who are like the strongest guys in the world now. And he talks a lot about visualization and the feeling, the kinesthesis feeling in your body when you're doing deadlifts and these massive lifts. Because if you have that inkling, you'll know exactly the same, right? If you have that inkling that this snatch or whatever is not going to quite land properly, it's going to really be heavy off the ground, it won't work.
No. And especially it's Luke Stoltman, isn't it, who King of the Stones, the
older guy. So
is it Luke or is it
Luke's the older one? The younger one,
Tom.
He's the strongest guy in the world 3 years in a row or something.
And when he won, the first time he won, he shouted at the camera, "King of the Stones, baby." Yeah, it was so good. I love that. But he will have visualized lifting those Atlas stones time and time again. And he will have felt what it feels like to be on that podium, to be you're the world's strongest.
You have to believe it. I mean, I heard this quote recently. I think I've said it on the podcast before, but it's, to succeed, you have to have this incredible confidence in yourself, but you shouldn't have overly high confidence in what you're currently doing, because it might not be the boat that takes you to the island where you want to get to. But you will find the right boat at the right time. Okay,
I like this. This kind of leads me on to the next one. So the A is assume.
Okay.
Believe it's true and act as if it's already happened. And then think, how would you act differently now, assuming that it had already happened? And I think about this one quite a lot with money goals. So imagine that the affirmation that you said at the start, the thing that you're going to make true is, I am a millionaire, or even I am a billionaire. What would you do right now if that had already happened? Because I think so many people will talk about money as if they don't have money. And then I feel like what happens is you keep talking about money as if you don't have money, and all you do is send out signals that you associate money with something that isn't for you, something that other people have, something that greedy people have, and then it continuously doesn't come within your reach. Whereas if you kind of change your money beliefs, if you assume I'm a millionaire, I'm a billionaire, money comes easily to me, I always find ways to add value, there's money everywhere, like it's down the back of my sofa, it's so easy to make. If you have those kind of assumptions, then you're so much more likely to actually get the thing that you've got in mind.
100%. So it's not greed from one point of view, I want more money. It's just not being around the scarcity of money is something I don't have.
Yep.
Yeah, I really like that. We've just been with Antonia's brother, who's got a business in Copenhagen, really cool content studio in Copenhagen. And he had this amazing philosophy. He's a few years younger than us. He's in his mid-20s. And he was talking about he doesn't really mind spending money on whatever it might be that's going to make him and his partner's life better. Because he's like, at the end of the day, I've got the confidence that I and my team will go make more sales. We'll make sales here. We'll try that. He's got proper founder mentality of I will just try. I'll keep going and it will work. And it obviously is working for him already, but there's other ways. There's no ceiling.
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting because you're right. There's a lot of people who are around who just go, oh, you know, I hate Lamborghinis. Oh, I hate people who drive this. It's like, is that because you can't afford one and you really want one?
Yeah.
Is that what's actually happening?
Yeah. And then it's confusing because it's confusing because if you associate money or extreme wealth with greed or undesirable qualities, then it's like, but do you want that or do you not want that? Because you want it, but you're going to be different. So why aren't those people different? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And this is all about clarity and it all making sense.
And people who have made millions don't really talk about money that much, or they talk about wealth building.
Yeah.
They don't talk about the small things in life, do they?
No, and they don't care that they just bought a coffee for $12 because it's just like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, it reminds me, this entire sort of, this part of the analogy reminds me of, I think it's Gary Vee who's like, you should act as though you've got a TV crew watching you all the time. And so when I'm at home and I'm on the treadmill at like 6 a.m, working on stuff and the treadmill's going, and I'm like, I don't need anyone to watch me because I know that when we win, if we have a good week, good month, good quarter, I know why. And then, we've had this conversation before. People will always message you and go, what trick have you got? What trick have you learned? You're like, nothing. Same with like fitness, isn't it? Like, what's the diet? Or is it 10,000 steps a day?
Yeah.
It's like, it's not one thing.
Yeah.
There's so many things. And I feel like if you just act in exactly what you're saying, if you act as if someone's watching you, it's unlikely you're going to fail in the same way as if you act as though you've already made it.
Yeah. No,